Hello, everyone. I'm Cindy Edwards from PR Media Now, and joining us now is Algernon Pharmaceuticals CEO Christopher Moreau. Chris, great to see you again.
Hi, Cindy. Nice to see you.
Now, Algernon's subsidiary Algernon NeuroScience is exploring a potential new treatment for stroke, and the company recently dosed its first patient with the psychedelic drug DMT in its phase 1 clinical study. What can you tell us about this?
Well, as some of our viewers know, Algernon has been investigating this known psychedelic drug called DMT, N-dimethyltryptamine. We're investigating a sub-psychedelic dose. And as you mentioned, we just started our phase 1 study. And although there have been numerous phase 1 studies done on DMT, and it's a known safe compound, we are treating people for a longer period of time. We're actually giving them DMT for a 6-hour duration. And that's the first part of the study. Second part, they'll be coming back every 2 days to get the 6-hour duration. So this will be informative for our phase 2. And in our phase 2 trial, we'll be testing DMT along with a placebo on people that have actually had a stroke. But right now, phase 1, healthy patients only. We want to make sure that a prolonged dose of DMT doesn't cause any issues. We don't think it will, but we have to go through the steps.
Okay, back to this phase 1 study. You're testing 60 patients all at one time, just when they come in? Do they all have different schedules? How does this work?
So we would screen, or the center, CHDR in the Netherlands, they screened in December for the patients. They probably come in 2 or 3 or 4 at a time. It depends on the number of rooms they have in the facility. Just to let our viewers know, we'll be providing what's known as an ascending dose. So the maximum tolerated dose in this study is the psychedelic dose, which is 0.2 milligrams per kilogram. This amount was established by Dr. Rick Strassman, who wrote the book DMT, The Spirit Molecule. He's an advisor to Algernon. And what we want to do is we want to bring patients up to that sub-psychedelic dose, or that psychedelic dose, but just below it. We don't really want to send patients on a trip. We're not making any judgments about that. It's that when you've had a stroke, you've had an injury, many people are in a state of confusion. They're in the ICU. A lot of previous stroke drug efforts have failed because they did cause hallucinations. People were jumping out of beds. You can't be tying people down. If you're testing some of these psychedelics, typically you have a spirit guide who's walking you through it, telling you what to expect. So we don't want to be delivering that psychedelic dose. And it turns out the preclinical data says you don't have to give that psychedelic dose to see the effects of DMT, which is increasing BDNF in the brain. That's a growth factor that helps neuroplasticity, creating new neural pathways. That's the hope for DMT with stroke patients. We can help get the brain healing to reduce the deficit that you might suffer after you've had a stroke.
And these current patients are healthy people. They haven't had a stroke because you want to see what's happening. You want them to be able to talk to you, and hence that's why we're not using anybody who's had a stroke. Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about phase 2A study. What is the timeline for that, and how is that going to look?
So we hope to have the phase 1 study completed by the summer, and the data reporting a short time after. And then we hope to start our phase 2A for stroke patients before the end of the year. And so we're working on that protocol. And so just quickly to remind people, there's 2 kinds of strokes. There's a hemorrhagic stroke. It's about 15% of patients. It's a bleed in the brain. Then you have 85% that suffer an ischemic stroke. That is some blockage of a blood vessel in the brain. And the result is you have neurons that are starved of oxygen and glucose. We want to be providing DMT to patients in the ICU. Only about 15% of patients that have had an ischemic stroke are eligible for a very heavy duty blood thinner called a TPA, or the qualify for a surgical mechanical removal of the blockage. About 85% of people it's just watchful waiting. There is no treatment. So that's where we want to deliver DMT along with a placebo. We'll follow these patients after 30 days and we'll compare. How did the placebo group do against the group that got DMT? Is there a reduction of deficit, which could be cognitive, visual, sight, motor function? These are the terrible effects of having a stroke, depending on where it is in your brain and how long it lasts. So that's what the phase 2 will look like.
And Algernon NeuroScience is the only company at this stage of testing with DMT for stroke, correct?
That's right. Algernon NeuroScience. This is a new subsidiary created by Algernon Pharmaceuticals. It's a private company. We're going to be raising capital through a different market approach called a Regulation A financing. And by spinning out the DMT stroke program, we're able to provide a better valuation for our DMT stroke program than what is currently being afforded to Algernon Pharmaceuticals, because the capital markets and the stock market has issues because of the global economy in the market. So we did say we would be the first company in the world to investigate DMT for stroke. And once we dosed that patient a few days ago, we were successful with that goal, that achievement.
Okay, well, I think I speak for everyone when I say that I hope this turns out to be a huge success. Christopher Moreau from Algernon Pharmaceuticals and the subsidiary Algernon NeuroScience, great to talk to you, and we'll check in with you again soon to get another update. Thank you so much.
Okay, Cindy, take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.